Hi everybody, Alison Waits here for part two of our property management, all things property management. And today will be quite quick because I've got a few things on. Hubby's coming home and yeah, got some painting to do, got to pick Alex up from work. But anyway, so this one is going to be quite easy. So this is about privacy and access to a residential premises, really. That's what it's about. So there's a few things where you do have to get consent. You have to tell the tenants that you'll be attending and how many days you have to give them for the notice, what your rights are as an agent, as a landlord, and also as a tenant as well, because we all seem to have rights and responsibilities, which is fantastic. We must adhere by them, and otherwise we'll end up in tribunal, and we do not want that, do we? So your right as a tenant, you're entitled to reasonable peace, comfort and privacy in the use of your premises. So that's a reasonable peace. Okay, so when it does come to some entry for the landlords and agents, it's a reasonable amount of times per week. So we'll get into that shortly. The landlord and the agent must not interfere with or cause or permit anyone to interfere with your peace, comfort and privacy. So I have, you do find some tenants, they're fantastic. They'll let you in 99%. We're always going to have that 1% to say, no, I don't agree with you. That's where we need to go to tribunal, and that's why Fair Trading has come out with this legislation as well. So landlord's right to enter the premises, it's outlined below, like what we'll be talking about. I'll be making a few points and saying what the reasonable time frame is for that one. So you need to have permission for certain times as well. So we'll get into that one. There are times where you don't have to tell the tenants that you will be gaining access. So you don't need consent and you don't have to tell them. So the landlord or us as a private landlord or with an agency, if there's an emergency like a water burst or the smoke alarms are constantly going off or there's something's happening, we don't have to give any permission. We don't have to tell the tenants. Urgent repairs, so we'll be talking about repairs and maintenance on another day, but say, like I said, a burst water pipe, electrical fault, smoke alarms, things like that, where you can actually gain access without trying to get in contact with the tenants. If we think that the premises has been abandoned, so there's a few things we need to go through as an agent and a landlord. What we usually do, if they haven't paid their rent, they're not communicating, no one has seen them, the neighbours haven't seen them, we haven't seen any movement in the house, they might actually be away, you just don't know. So what we do is we take a photo of the water meter, because if anyone's at the house for a few days, they're going to be using water, aren't they? So then we'll go back every day, we would leave a letter in the mailbox or under the door, send them an email, send them an SMS, take another photo of the water meter, because you need to show evidence in tribunal to state that you didn't falsely enter the premises without permission. So you've done all that. And then after a few days you go, okay, I've now got to write another letter to say I have now accessed your house, purely because we thought that it had been abandoned. A lot of the time that I've done that, it actually has been abandoned, and the tenants have taken off. It's only been a few times. I don't want to get people thinking that it happens a lot. Otherwise they've been overseas and they've just forgotten to tell you. But if they're not paying rent, it does mean that they have abandoned the property. We will discuss that on another day, because there is quite a few things to talk about that, like what you can do with the belongings of the tenants and how many days you have to store them away. It's like 14, and what you can do with those items after. If you have serious concerns like a welfare check, and you think something's happened, they might have passed away or had an accident, you know, there's always that kind of access as well. And okay, sorry about that one. Entry with consent of notice. So what we can do when it comes to selling a property, or the tenants have given their notice that they're going to be vacating, you can go in there and get photos of the premises. Oh, there's my cat. Sorry, the cat's going off again. So you do need that permission from the tenants. You can actually say, I'm going to be taking photos. Let me just say that with the new reform, you have to have written permission from the tenants to state that you can show those photos on social media, realestate.com, domain, brochures, letterbox drops. If it's inside the premises, you do have to have written consent from the tenants. What I do, because I get along with all my tenants, and we always make sure, and we always bring them along the journey with us when it comes to sale photos, and say, you know, please, you know, you can be with us. We'll show you exactly what photos we're going to take. Please remove any of the photos that you don't want in the, the photos online. So it's all via email as well. So the tenants are well aware and say you're more than welcome to be there. We will show you the photos before they go on the websites, realestate.com, etc. And also we have to show the owners and get their permission to do that, obviously, as well. And then we say, yeah, you're happy, and we get them to sign off on it. If they don't give you permission, you can still take them on the outside of the premises, because there's no personal belongings, there's no kids' photos. And I'm not one to take photos of children's bedrooms. I never have. I think that comes back from a social housing sort of, when I was doing social housing on and off for 3 years, because it is, to me, it's a breach of privacy and child's welfare anyway. So, okay, so if the tenants aren't happy with the access, they're not allowing access, that's when we go to tribunal to make sure that we do have an order to say, yes, Alison, the real estate or the landlord can gain access for these reasons and at these time and dates. And the tenants can also do that as well. So if you have a landlord, a private landlord or an agent or a creditor that keeps knocking on your door and trying to get access without the right procedures, you can go to tribunal and put a stop to that. Not a stop, but actually set days and set times that you allow the access. So when it comes to selling a property, an agent can only do a maximum of 2 times per week without the tenant's consent. I always like to have the tenant's consent, and as in working together like I just said, and say, okay, let's do Friday and Saturday each week, or let's do Saturday each week, or Saturday each week plus a private inspection during the week. So they can't say no. There's no unreasonable reasons to say no. At the moment there's coronavirus, but because it's a bit hard in Grafton, we don't have corona at the moment, but you never know. We're just going to make sure that if they do say that they've got corona, they do have to go get tested, and usually that comes back within a few days before the next Saturday, and they do need to show the letter stating that they don't have it or some confirmation. If we can't get that off them, sometimes they're sort of like lying about it. Anyway, so when it comes to the sale property with the access, like I was saying, you're allowed to have twice a week. That's all there is to it. I do have a few tenants that do inbox me all the time saying, well, the agent's telling me they can come any day and all they have to do is give me 24 hours. So that's not the case. Before the first showing, they have to give you 14 days written notice that the premises is up for sale or will be going up for sale. They can't do their first showing of the property until after the 14th day. And before each other showing is agreed, you have to give them 48 hours notice. That's why we like to, what I've always done, I always say, okay, I'm going to book a time each Saturday between, say, 10 and 12. I'll let you know, when I first set them on a Monday, and they're okay with that. So as long as you have that journey with the tenants as well. To show the premises for prospective tenants. So that's a bit different to a sales. If the tenants are vacating, if it's been a termination notice via us, or the tenants have given us a termination, there is we can show a reasonable number of times in the 14 days before the agreement ends, which means if they're vacating on the 14th of June, we can start showing for a reasonable amount of times per week from the 1st of June. It's not the 2 times. So obviously if it's reasonable, it could be 3 or 4 times. So we just got to make sure that the tenants, we have to give reasonable notice. It's not 48 hours, it's not 24 hours. It just means we have to give them reasonable notice. Okay, so to take photos, like I said, when it comes to videos, they can only do 1 time within the 24 days before the premises after the termination notice. So, and before that date. So that's to take photos for a rental. You can take photos, but you can only do it once within a 28-day period before they vacate. So if you give them a 90 days notice, you either want to do it now while the property is still clean and tidy and they haven't started packing just yet, or you can go further down the track, but you can only do it once in that 28 days anyway. When it comes to access for evaluation, to value the premises, it says 1 time in any 12-month period, and you have to give the tenants 7 days notice each time. So that's a bit of a grey area. I know some agents, some landlords do want to get multiple agents through the premises, but you can only supposedly have 1 every 12 months. So if you're going to get a few agents, there's a tenant in place, unless you get written permission, I would suggest just that the tenant to say, yes, they can come through at this time. Otherwise, I'd be getting all of them to go through at the same time, just so you're covering yourself. And yeah, easy done. So usually if you're not selling, we always give a free appraisal once a year when it comes to the end of financial year anyway, so you can see where the house is going up to with the equity in it as well. So what else is there? To inspect the premises for a routine inspection if it's a rental, you can only do 4 times in every 12-month period. That's not January the 1st to December the 31st. That's 12 months from your signed lease. So we could do it, we usually do it 6 to 8 weeks when you first sign a lease, just so we can see that you're happy, the landlords are happy. There's no maintenance, because if it's a new rental or we haven't had any communication with the previous tenants, there might be some maintenance that we want to get done. Yeah, so easy done. So this will be the fact sheet that I will be posting on the bottom, like I have been saying that I'm doing every time, which I am. And so I just want to make sure that everything is correct. And what else is there? Okay, so if your privacy is interfered with, like I was talking to, you can apply for tribunal. Sometimes that takes 6 to 8 weeks to actually get into the tribunal. It has every other time that I've been here in Grafton. Otherwise, they get you to go to Lismore if it's more urgent. And because of the corona as well, they've been doing some more over the phone, and they've been getting through pretty quick, that I've been getting told, which is fantastic. Otherwise, oh yeah, what you can't do, you can't go on a Sunday, you can't go on a public holiday, and you can't gain access before 8 AM and after 8 PM. That just makes sure that the tenants still have that reasonable amount of peace and quiet as well. And Sunday has always been known as the day of rest, obviously, but it's not my day of rest. I still work and I still do a lot of renovations. So, and you can't stay longer than necessary. So if it's an electrician, like I had my electrician friends here today doing the air cons, they were here probably about 8 hours. So that's not over reasonable time. If it's someone that's a landlord and they're just going around and wanting to just do a bit of gardening and all that kind of stuff, or a friend to the family of the landlord, you can hurry them up, because obviously that's going over the reasonable time. And yeah, so, and when obviously there's people coming to your property, this is as a tenant, and you've got creditors like your electrician, your plumber, your gardener, your owner, because a lot of the owners do their own repairs, they've got it. We'll get away from the owner for a second, because you already know who they are most of the time. But if it's a different creditor, they actually have to have evidence with them to say that the agency has given them permission to be on the land, and so does the owners. So if it's a private rental, the owner has to have some form of evidence given to those creditors. So that's why we do a work order and we do a quotation order if you just want to quote as well. So, and if the tenants say, I want to see a copy of that, you have to legally produce that. So to all the creditors out there, like handyman, builders, electricians, you've got to have something of evidence when you do go. That's why we like to email all our work orders and quotations through to our creditors, is because they've got it on their phone and they can just show the tenant. But we always make sure the tenants know. We always get the plumber or the electrician to go, yeah, I can make it on a Saturday between 11 and 12. We try and give as much information to the tenants as possible, because they're usually the ones that are giving us the work, the maintenance or the inspection, and go, oh, I've got a gas thing that's not working, or electrical fault. So they are aware usually. I did have a tenant ask me the other day, because they're with an agency, and I think it was an electrician or somebody turns up and they didn't even know. It's because the landlord had done it without the tenants knowing and without the agency knowing, and he got his mate to go around there and wanted to do some work. Oh, it's for fencing at the back of the house. So, and the tenants didn't even know, and they said, well, you're going to have to call the agency, because we didn't even know. We don't even have any issues with our fencing. So you just want to make sure that you're covering your bum, like I say, every night. Cover your bum, put everything in writing. When it comes to maintenance, a bit off track right now, put it in writing, and any issues, but make sure, tenants, if you're unhappy, please do give me a call, 0487 289 471. If you're a landlord, you're not getting the service that you want, do give me a call. If you're a private, we also support you with private rentals as well. Okay, I will post this on the bottom. Have a great evening and enjoy your night. See ya.